So we're going to talk a little bit about Sundance today. Our special guest, Doug Blush, has been with us before. In fact, he's been at LACPUG meetings when he began this whole profession 15 years ago. And now he's a big-time editor, and he's been to, 7 Sundances, correct? And in those times, he's had 9 films, probably more, because this last Sundance, which he just came home from about 2 days ago, he had 3 films that he was involved with. 1 as an editor and 2 as a consulting editor.
Well, so actually 2 as an editor, yeah.
2 as an editor and 1 as a consulting editor? And probably
Sally did 2 of them, too.
And he probably had 5 other docs that he had something to do with. I mean, because he's been involved in documentaries. Every single documentary you've ever seen, he's had something to do with it. I swear, if you look at his resume, if you go to IMDb, every single documentary that's ever been done, Doug Blush had something to do with. Oh, maybe not, but he had a lot to do with it. And so we're very privileged to have him here to talk a little bit about Sundance, to show you a few clips about some of the movies that were just there. And we're also very honored to have his assistant editor, Sally Volkmann, sitting to my left here. And Sally had 2 films? Was this your first Sundance? Isn't that cool? Was it fun? Yeah, I mean, gosh, I've never been to a Sundance. How many people have been to a Sundance? Okay, we're going to talk hopefully a little bit about that, whether it's even worth it for people like us to even submit a film to Sundance. How does he get all of his films? We can't get nothing.
It's all rigged. No,
it's not. Anyway, welcome Doug Blush and Sally Volkmann. You can sit here.
Thanks, everybody. Like Michael was saying, I go way, way back with the LACPUG, now LACPUG, all the way back to the ancient days of OS 8 almost, and After Effects 2 and whatever else. The great thing about this organization is, again, it's this free, open forum, and I really have met so many people through here, and it's really kind of an honor to come back and now kind of show some stuff that I, wasted my time on for the last decade or 2. The bottom line is I'm a doc editor primarily. I'm known as that. I also direct, write, produce, do craft service, all that stuff. But doc editing really is my love and my great honor to be able to call my career. I've been here before. I did sort of a kind of a review of a bunch of stuff. Some of you may have seen that. Tonight I want to take kind of a very specific look at the Sundance Film Festival, and I just saw that some of you have been there. The bottom line is that there is nothing on earth quite like the Sundance Film Festival. It's an amazing coming together of the tribes, if you will, and what's really great is all of the people who I think of as my heroes tend to be there drinking like free Stellas, and walking around and sharing ideas and, just gossiping, which is an incredible thing. So it really is my favorite part of Sundance, is to meet the people who I respect so much, who do this craft that I at least say that I do. One of my rules, and I'll throw out a few rules of Sundance for anybody who's going that way in the years to come. The films are the least important thing to do during Sundance. There is so much going on at Sundance that is not film-based. And that is not to say that premiering a film at Sundance is not a thrill and amazing and great, and it's wonderful to see it on screen. But the films, the good ones, you'll see again. But the people who are there and the things that are going on there are in the moment, and they're so thrilling to just, I was able to have a conversation with Alex Gibney or Laura Poitras, and if you know these names, they're the top documentary people in the world right now. And they're just hanging out, Like I said, they're all sort of chilling up on the slopes and trading ideas. So that's really what Sundance is for me, is a cultural exchange in our own little tribe here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of work backwards in time. Michael said, and I checked it, now I was wrong, it's not 9, it's now 10 films in the last 7 Sundances because of this little bonus that Sally and I stumbled into at the last minute. It's kind of cool when you find out that you had another one you didn't even know was playing there. But let me show you the big one that we had up there this year, although they were all really great in their own way. But this film will be making shockwaves across America for the next year. I guarantee you this. Sally and I worked on this for a long time. Sally longer than I. It's from Kirby Dick and Amy Ziering, who brought you The Invisible War, which I also edited, with my co-editor Derek Boonstra, who's an amazing editor as well. This film was truly a team effort. I mean, I worked about 7.5 months on it. I had to leave to go do another project that I was directing, actually, but Sally stayed on and saw every dirty last-minute detail of getting this film. And literally, you were there when we produced a final tape on Tuesday. Was that right? Mm-hmm. Last Tuesday we finished. We premiered on Friday at 2:30. So you know, the post process is now unbelievably tight, and we can pull off things like that. And Kirby will. That's the thing. He'll if there's a news headline, he'll drop it in the Wednesday before he has to show it. You know. But let me show you the trailer for this, and then we'll move into sort of what it was like. And I'm really excited that Sally's here, because I'm sort of a grizzled Sundance veteran. Sally's a first-time Sundancer, and she can tell you a very different perspective. And hopefully when we get to Q&A, you guys can ask her a few questions too. All right, here you go. This is the trailer for the new film, The Hunting Ground.
I got a call from the Dean of Admissions asking if you were to get into Harvard, would you accept? And I said yes, because I knew my mom would kill me if I said anything else.
The first few weeks, I made some of my best friends, but 2 of us were sexually assaulted before classes had even started.
I went to the Dean of Students' office, and she said, I just want to make sure that you don't talk to anyone about this.
They protect perpetrators because they have a financial incentive to do so.
The problem of sexual assault on campuses is enormous.
I think it's fair to say that they cover these crimes up. There's a lot of victim blaming.
He lectured us about how we shouldn't go out in short skirts.
They told me, despite the fact that I had a written admission of guilt, that what I presented to them could only prove that he loved me.
They discourage them from going to the police. If it goes to the police, then it's more likely to end up as a public record.
Universities are protecting a brand.
Campus police cannot contact an athlete.
He won the Heisman Trophy with his DNA rape kit.
Just sit down with the students and ask them, where are the hot spots?
SAE.
Sexual assault expected.
The second most common type of insurance claim against the fraternity industry is for rape. Her rapist's name matched the name of 2 other cases, and he was allowed back on campus.
The message is clear. You're not going to win.
We started seeing, what was happening at campuses across the country.
Hi.
Why has no one connected the dots before?
These students went from sexual assault victims to survivors and now activists.
My name is Carolyn Luby.
My name is Alexa Schwartz.
My name is Ari Mostov.
This is a national problem.
We are fed up!
I was getting threatened. It was working in their favor to silence me, and I was terrified.
I thought if I told them, they would take action, but the only action they took was against me.
We've got a lot further to go.
Hello, Valerie here. Jennifer Lawrence.
I love how they steal our trailer and then put some tag on the end. Isn't that nice? Anyway, that's The Hunting Ground. Thank you. Thank you. Obviously, a very intense film to work on. When Sally and I signed on for this, we had no idea how deep and far this would go.
But this was my first job after college, so.
Yeah, we brought Sally because she came up to us at a screening in Michigan. And she just said she was really into documentary. And so my wife and I actually sort of said, come on out and join us and join this wild world. And now we've been working together on and off for about 2 years now. Mm-hmm. So, and the rest is history. Kirby just immediately knew how great she was and sort of kidnapped her from me after I went off to do my thing. You continued on with all the knowledge you had of this program, and you were able to finish it out with our editors and this great crew that we have, who's just been phenomenal. So, any observations about what you went through going through this?
Well, just watching the trailer, it's funny how you become disassociated from the footage. Like, watching it, I just think, okay, what's a photo? What's something that we can fair use? And then what is footage we don't own that we have to pay for? So
every shot is worth something, right? Yeah. Yeah, but the bottom line is that every bolt in this film, certainly Sally and to some degree myself, we went through again and again and again and again, and it was a brutal but incredibly rewarding process. I won't say too much about the content of the film. I don't think it's not a good time to do that yet because the film is only in very, very limited release so far, only at Sundance. In 2 months, it will be released in theaters nationwide. So you can go see it, certainly in Los Angeles and in cities all over the country. I hope you share it with people. The website is The Hunting Ground Film, I believe, thehuntinggroundfilm.com. And there's an incredible activism angle to this where you can actually ask for a screening in your town, at your campus, in your city, wherever you are. So if you want to share that with friends, certainly with parents and college students, prospective college students that you know, I hope you spread the word, because I think this film's very important. We really hope that just about everybody who's even contemplating college or parents who are contemplating their children going there sees this, because I think it's very important. It will be on CNN later in the year. So it'll be in theaters first this spring, and then it'll be on CNN just in time for the 2015-16 school year. So it will be coming back for everybody, yeah. So hopefully millions of people will see this. Yeah, we have a quick question.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I agree with you. I hope millions of people do see it. I'm a father of a 2-year-old. I just saw the Vanderbilt case.
Yeah, amazing timing. Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, and we got one over here. Well, there's an old rule in documentary, which is generally not a fixed union type rate. It's you ask for whatever you can ask for without cracking up, you know. And conversely, the director will drop you down as low as they can go without making you run away. So, you know, it's a balance. We work with very limited resources. You know, we don't have the budgets of the Avengers. You know, our budget is less than their, you know, Milk Duds budget on their craft service trucks. So bottom line is we have to make everything count, and we work very hard. But it is now, there is enough funding and enough, you know, salary that you can make this a career, and I feel very lucky that I've been able to do that. And I think Sally will take this even further. She's just starting out, and she's got a couple of decades on me, so I'm looking forward to what she's going to be doing in the next bunch of years, because she's working on a lot of projects now. In fact, she just left this crew after wrapping it all up. You even got a cake. Yeah, and she is on to her next documentary, and now she's off on her own now and doing her thing. Yeah. So yeah, it is a process, you know. And in terms of negotiating salaries, I don't want to throw out numbers because it's so arbitrary, but you do want to, you know, ask for what you're worth, and the more you do, the more you can ask for. So it's just a process of doing a lot of them. Yeah, real quick right there. Even if there is a deadline, they go on for years. Bottom line, documentary, you know, there's an old saying about all film, but I think it really applies to documentaries, is, you know, documentaries are not finished, they're abandoned. And sometimes they're abandoned to great success, you know. And so, yeah, there's this thing called mission creep, right? Most documentaries I've ever worked on went way past what we thought we would do. I've had documentaries go on an extra year or two. I got onto one that had been going for 9 years, and I was the one who finished it, finally. There are a bunch of stories like that. The other film, and this is a good segue actually, this is a film about an absolutely unbelievably talented filmmaker named Ousmane Sembène, and if any of you are world cinema fans, you know this name. He is considered the father of African cinema. He's a revolutionary artist and writer who took what was before was sort of a white Western view of Africa and made it African, and it's really an astonishing film. I was a consulting editor on this, and the co-directors of this were a friend of mine who I met at Sundance Labs a few years ago, and then the biographer of Ousmane Sembène co-directed it together. This is their very first feature film together, but it's a really beautiful film. I'm just going to show you the trailer real quick here. This is the second film at Sundance.
They say we who walk this world are made of flesh and blood. I say we are made of stories. Let me ask you, how does an ordinary man leave school in the 6th grade only to reinvent himself as one of the world's finest novelists? How does an ordinary man rise from a laborer and a dock worker to become the father of African cinema? Where does an ordinary man find the strength to fight a system designed to keep Africans down? How does an ordinary man, having witnessed the erasure of his culture's stories, help his people to discover them again? How does an ordinary man do extraordinary things? An ordinary man doesn't. Ousmane Sembène spent 40 years using any means necessary to make movies that shared tough truths, exposed injustice, and imagined a better world. This is our story about the filmmaker who, against enormous odds, reclaimed Africa's stories. This is our story of Sembène.
Very happily, they also, their Kickstarter was successful, and they premiered just slightly later than late 2014, happily early 2015, just this week. Now, Sally also saw this. She's a big Ousmane Sembène fan as well, and she got to go to the second screening at Sundance, as did I, because we had this great problem. Both of the films that I had premiering there were at the same time on Friday, so I couldn't go to both premieres. But I got to go this the Saturday after that, and we got to hang out with the crew, and it was very emotional, actually. It was Sembène's son was there, and yeah.
He was just like moved to tears. He couldn't even get a response about how he thought the film was. I think the funniest thing, someone asked what Sembène would have thought, and what do you say? Like, oh, it's good. But
yeah, it's like, it could be better. But no, it's a wonderful film, and the people involved in it just worked so hard for so long. And I always love coming into a film like that. If I can help or if I can steer it into a final place, I do a lot of that kind of work. And I find that, you know, this is an important thing for editors. If you've worked on a project for a long time, sometimes you bring in a fresh set of eyes, and you have to have that new viewpoint to kick you, just to get you past a stopping point. A lot of documentaries have this problem. And this is, in fact, sort of what happened on Hunting Ground. Is I had been working for 7.5 months. I was starting to fray at the edges a little bit, and I had to go direct this other project that I was set to do. So a good friend of mine, Kim Roberts, came in and worked for about two and a half months or so, and really just revolutionized the film. You know, did all this great stuff to it, and got it a little further down the road to the point where it all made sense. All these things we were stuck on, she sort of kicked it out, and all the way through, Sally was working on it the whole time, and our co-editor Derek Boonstra was always there to cut scenes and to do all kinds of shaping. So it really was a team effort. It was really kind of an amazing production that way, and sometimes it takes those kind of resources.
Does that affect your ego at all when somebody else can come in and fix your problems you couldn't solve?
It affects my bedtime, in a good way. No, I'm thrilled. In fact, I usually, oftentimes, am the editor who comes in later. And I like that, actually, because I like coming in with a lot of stuff already logged and filed and everything. This one I started from raw. We both started this from the very beginning. I mean, literally from the original clips. And it's a long way from there till a feature documentary. We had how many hours? 600-700 hours of footage.
I think if you strung it out, it was 15 days, all the footage.
Yeah. So imagine that, sitting through that. And I think Sally actually saw every frame of every day of that. So yeah, I have absolutely no possessiveness one way or the other. What I want is a great film, because all boats get lifted by a great film. And if you're involved in something, you want it to be as good as it possibly can be. That's why on my own film, which I'm also editing, I am absolutely going to bring in another editor. Absolutely. And right now I'm having another editor cut scenes, and he's terrific. And I'm so relaxed and happy to have somebody else take my footage and make it into something that I didn't see. I think that's really important. That's what an editor's role really is to give something new. I don't think we're passive, follow the numbers. No matter what type of editing, commercial or narrative or anything else, we really do create a story out of some stuff that may have not existed before. Documentary, absolutely. I mean, there is no script until you've shot, and then maybe you'll figure something out. You know, it's always a kind of a question mark. I just wanted to jump along quick. I was surprised because we were having a great time at Sundance, and we could tell you lots of stories of all the things that happened, but safe to say we met a lot of people, we had a lot of fun, went to a lot of parties, heard some music, ran around and slipped on the ice, and tried to coordinate our 90-person crew to all go at the same place at the same time. Get as much free food as possible. That's really important at Sundance. There's an old saying that if you pay for a drink or a meal at Sundance, you're doing it wrong, you know? And that's held true for a long time. Although there is one pizza place, if you go up there, go to Devanza's Pizza. Do not go to Main Street Pizza Noodle. It's a ripoff. Go to Devanza's. It's the best. It's on Park Avenue, and it's not right on Main Street. You got to go to Devanza's. It's the best. Am I right?
Oh yeah. There's a beer wall from the
There's a beer wall.
floor to the ceiling.
There's a beer can wall that's just epic. But that's the fun of Sundance. There's also just the very serious work of getting awareness for your films. And here's a film that I cut with. Anybody heard of Michael Apted of the 7 Up series? I had the incredible pleasure, as did Sally, of working with this guy for 3.5 months. One of the great directors of our time. He did what is considered to be possibly the greatest documentary of all time. And I got a cold call from him in his office saying, "Would you like to work with Michael for 3 or 4 months on this project about photographers?" And he barely finished the sentence, and I was already driving over to Santa Monica to go meet him. So that was a yes. And this is the trailer for the result, which I found out after I'd been to the festival for about 3 days. Hey, it's playing here. And I didn't know that. So the email just didn't get to my inbox. But I ended up being on a panel for the film at the last minute. They said, "The editor's here? Great, let's bring him up." And Sally was in the audience, and we saw the first time we'd seen it all finished. So here's the trailer for that.
There's something about the human face or body that can be so beautiful or so striking or so mysterious. There's something that just captures you.
Photography is something that I do because I'm looking for something to understand maybe about myself.
My job is to make the lens. It's the heart of the camera.
The idea in Buddhism is that nothing can be perfected. And yet, I think the Japanese, in terms of the way that they approach lens making, are attempting to achieve perfection.
It's a very high accuracy lens, one of the biggest in the world. And it took 2 years to make it. It could reach the galaxies that are close to the beginning of space, billions of light years away.
In 1968, I had third-row seats to see Jimi Hendrix in concert. I borrowed a friend's camera, and I shot 2 rolls of film back then. And when I saw this image come up magically on this white piece of paper, I was totally hooked.
I look at the lens very closely and try to understand its feeling.
When you're photographing something that's going to happen for a fraction of a second, you really do have to be at one with the lens.
People who make extraordinary from the very ordinary, who see such beauty, not because it's manufactured, but because they see it and nobody else does.
Can you imagine a life without a camera?
No.
Now that film was actually funded by Canon cameras, but it is not an advertisement. It's an actual documentary directed by one of the great documentarians of all time. So we had a lot of fun working on that one. That was a real process because we had like, what, 9, 10 stories to tell in less than an hour, and it was really about reducing down as fast as we could and just working with a lot of material very quickly. That one came together very fast for a documentary.
And also, the first footage we got was the Japanese footage, and neither Doug or I speak Japanese, so unless you learned it recently. But
almost during the process of the film, but no, and Sally had to actually go through and sync up more or less the translator who was sitting in another room translating live on a microphone to the Japanese that was going on there, but it wasn't quite exactly right, and it was really a process. But somehow we pulled it all together, and it got done. Yeah, it's a lot of material. A total time that I had on it, I think, couldn't have been more than 3.5, 4 months. No, 3.5 months at most. Really fast, really fast. It was just before we started the hunting ground. So we squeezed that in between the time we did some early stuff for the hunting ground, and we also were working on another film with Kirby. That sort of got put aside in order to do the hunting ground, but we had this little window, so we squeezed the Michael Apted thing in, and then we worked on hunting ground like for the rest of the year. Yeah. So like every second of this year is accounted for, basically, by these films. And then Semba and I went away for a couple of weekends to consult on during the middle of all this other stuff. It was kind of a wild ride this year, and it was a lot of fun. So that's Sundance 2015 in a nutshell. Sally's first time, and I think you're going back.
Oh yeah,
I would say. I can never assume that I will, but I certainly hope so. It's kind of a second home now, and it really is. A lot of people have different opinions of it. I think it's one of the great artistic events on the planet Earth. I really do. I think it's done so much for independent vision and voice. The documentaries are always absolutely incredible. There's such a range of docs there, and it's not just established heroes, it's also first-timers. Bunch of first-timers there this year. There's a film called Finders Keepers, which is by a first-time filmmaker, 26 years old. It's about a man, a severed leg, and a barbecue, and that's all I can start to say about it. And it goes from there. So yeah, there are a lot of great things going on at Sundance. I recommend it as both a tourist, which I've been in earlier years, and as an active participant, which I've been for a lot of years more recently. I'll tell you a couple of quick stories about previous Sundances. I'll skip back just to a really great one, which was 2 years ago. I'll just show the trailer, and it's sort of self-explanatory. This is I call it the film that kept on giving. One of my greatest experiences ever at Sundance was walking in to the Eccles Theater. If anybody knows Sundance, it's the biggest theater they have. There are 1,300 seats. And we were the opening night film this year, or this particular year, 2013. And we hit them with this.
Singing background remains I suppose, a somewhat unheralded position, you know.
There's a power to these women that stand on stage with these guys.
It's a bit of a walk. That walk to the front is as complicated.
Can you turn off the radio? How could you logically not have a diva have her music on? I don't get that.
The rock and roll people like Bruce and Elton John and Stevie wanted to know who that girl singer was. My life has been all about trying to make a success of the gift that I had.
She was like the really hot one of the Ikettes. She was very hot, beautiful girl.
I don't set out to be the sex symbol.
But you post in Playboy.
My greatest pleasure is to stand back and let them do what they can do.
When you're a background singer, it is a springboard, but it can easily become quicksand if that's not what you want to do.
There's no guarantees in entertainment. I've got dreams. Rough dreams. I felt like if I just gave my heart to what I was doing, I would automatically be a star.
It got so bad, I started cleaning houses. I just looked up and said, okay, you're supposed to be singing. There's a whole world out there who wants to hear you sing. Lean on me, lean on me.
in the game and they stayed in the game, and they're legends.
It is my honor to induct into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and about time to Miss Darlene Love.
We won a few nice little trophies for this one, yeah. We premiered that at the Eccles Theater 2013, first night of Sundance, and our director, Morgan Neville, who's one of the nicest and most talented guys doing documentary today, we were all going to go have a beer after the premiere, you know, it's a long road, and we got it done, and we had a big standing ovation, and the women came out and sang, and it was incredible. But something got in the way. Our sales rep came up, and there was looked like a burner phone that he had with him, and he said, "You're coming with me right now." And Morgan never made it to the bar. 7 hours later, he had sold the film to Radius TWC, and the rest is history from there. So we sold the film like literally overnight after we premiered. It was one of those great times when, you know, all that stress was over by the dawn's early light. And it was a great Sundance because everybody just celebrated from that point on. And the whole year after that, all the way to the Oscars, was just, I don't know if I'll ever live through anything quite like that. It was really something else. And this year, Morgan returned with his co-director, Robert Gordon, with an amazing film that you guys will be seeing eventually about the Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley debates of 1968. It's called Best of Enemies. Terrific movie and really funny. Did you finally get to see it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I didn't know who they were going into it, so it was great to be educated. And I think I could have watched it for another hour. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a deep film, but really funny. It's sort of like one of the best verbal boxing matches you'll ever see in your life. It will be coming out in theaters. They just got purchased, I think, today. Yeah, so they got purchased for a good deal. So congratulations to Morgan and Robert and the crew, and that's our 20 Feet gang who got that sold. So it's pretty exciting. Any questions up to this point? I mean, you know, this is such a thing, this Sundance thing. Yeah. Anything you can think of that creates money in some way or another. I swear there are documentaries that are funded by those guys with the metal detectors on the beach. That's, you know, it goes from there all the way up to, well, we have a multinational conglomerate, you know, who comes in and funds it, and it's all done, and there's, you know, $1 million budget or whatever. That's pretty rare. There's not a whole lot of those. It's mostly through just sticking with it, and usually it's a germ of an idea, and you get people to sort of snowball onto that idea. Kickstarters become a real way to get money together. We've seen doc Kickstarters that make as much as $150,000, sometimes $200,000. There are grants, lots and lots of grants out there. They're frustrating and painful, and you spend years waiting for these grants to come true. But once they start coming true, they seem to come true again and again. You become known, yeah. Depends. There are a million ways to do it. Some are, some aren't. Some are entirely privately funded, you know, and don't have any bookkeeping to show the public, you know. There's so many ways. I mean, there's credit card movies, very dangerous, but possible. I'm going to end tonight, in just a few minutes, with a credit card movie. And the one and don't take this as an inspiration because it's very dangerous, but this is the credit card movie that made my life what it is now, and also all the people involved. I don't know, are Pat and Chris here? Did they come? No. Local Los Feliz superhero documentarians who started their career at Sundance, but I'll show you that in just a minute. So there have been a lot of different Sundances. There have been some that were serious, like this one was serious, but with Semben it was kind of joyful too. There were some that were really just fun, like 20 Feet. There were some that were kind of almost like artistic moments to just reflect. This was a really beautiful one. Let me scan forward to, let's see, I think this is it. This is called These Amazing Shadows, and as far as I know, it's still available on Netflix. If you're a film buff, you really should see this film. It's just a beautiful, beautiful film. 2011, I had 3 films at Park City. 2 were in Sundance. One was another Morgan Neville film called Troubadours, about the singer-songwriter movement of the 70s. And then there was this one about the National Film Registry, which is one of these wonderful things our government does do, which is preserve all the great American films for the last century. Then there was a third film, which was at Slamdance, and I should take a second to mention Slamdance. It's the other festival in Park City. Slamdance is for the first timer, the indie, the underground, and it's another way that you can get your film out there in Park City. And fortunately, the film I had up there was one of the most successful Slamdances ever in terms of Slamdance films. It sold to HBO for more than most of the films that Sundance sold for. And it was noticed, and it got out there, and it made a bunch of careers. So Slamdance is not the poor cousin. Sometimes the best films at Park City are at Slamdance. So you can definitely check them out as well. It's almost same deadlines. You can apply to both festivals, and if one doesn't take you, maybe the other one will, you know. There are some very cool titles. There's a film you're going to be hearing about called Bat Kid Begins, which is the story of the Bat Kid in San Francisco. It's supposed to be just phenomenal, and it's like 5 hanky movies. So that one's going to make waves, I guarantee you, for sure. And a bunch of other ones that are supposed to be terrific. So did you get to see any Slamdance movies while you were up there? Or did you...
No, I heard about them.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you have a Sundance film, you usually don't have time. But the Slamdance slate is fantastic. I mean, it's so many good films going there. But this was These Amazing Shadows, which we showed in 2011.
Films are a part of our cultural history. They deserve preservation in their authentic form.
It's saying your film has stood the test of time. When one looks through the list, one is struck by the extraordinary diversity of the movies.
We're going to have the obvious ones, but then you have some that are surprising.
Experimental, avant-garde, and independent film, documentary films, there's home movies.
This is not simply just another list of great films.
The more popular the film, the worse condition the original negative is going to be in. It's been loved to death. Somebody says, why would you save movies? I'd ask those people back, why do you save your family pictures?
Thank you. For an absolutely unretrievable film nerd like me, this was just candy to work on, and I got a copy of like about 300 of the films that were in the National Film Registry, which I still have on a hard drive, very carefully guarded at home. Yeah, that's one of those little benefits of doing something like this. That was just a sweet film, and I think my favorite thing about it was we got to show it to about 1,000 school children in Salt Lake City with a special program Sundance does, where they'll bring in high school kids to see independent films. And these kids were the most attentive and most intriguing question Q&As that we ever had with this film. And it's still, I remember that as one of my favorite screenings ever at Sundance, and it was 1,000 high school students and us. It was just the best. It was the best thing ever. Any questions? Any questions for Sally? Sally is at that phase. Some of you may be at that phase where you're assisting or you're just kind of getting started, and she can talk to the whole process of like, how do you get started in this? How do you sort of climb into the driver's seat with this stuff? Because now she's on her way, and she paid dearly in hours and lost sleep, but I think it worked out well. We always promised each other we would go to Sundance one of these days, and we did it. So, yeah. Anybody out there got any?
What's your education level?
I got my undergrad at University of Michigan.
Is it a good idea to go to a 4-year college to do what you want to do?
I guess so. I'm pretty self-taught, so I got a job teaching editing when I was in school. So I think that really taught me more than the actual editing classes. But if you can do the production classes where you're actually out there filming and editing, those are really where you learn how to edit.
Yeah, I mean, it's doing it is really the best way, right?
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah,
With all the new NLEs and the new options, are you finding a particular NLE that you run into more or less as you move around?
Boy, we're all caught in the great tornado of the change of Final Cut, which that really was the marker. You know, and it's a real break line about 2011 when everything was up in the air. Suddenly, you know, everybody was playing in the same kind of wild field again, and nothing is settled yet. I know people who swear by Avid. I know people who love Final Cut 10. I know people who will not give up on Final Cut 7. I know people like myself who have moved more or less to Premiere because it has the sweet spot of tools and features that I need for the way we work with documentaries. It's just, I'm most comfortable with it. I could easily be on any of those other platforms. I've given up on Final Cut 7. It's finally, you know, dead enough. And I'm getting enough, you know, new formats that I like to use raw rather than have to convert everything, so. Yep.
I still have my education level Final Cut 7 that's just crawling along. But I think what I'm looking into is Premiere, because you can do the subscription and turn it off if you're not using it. And then there's also, I've been looking into Avid, since that is the industry standard here. And there's a lot of ways. There's classes at Moviola, and then I think there's some online class where you can watch how they go through it. And I think it's only $100, and then you can download those videos. So if you don't necessarily have Avid, you can watch it and then maybe get a gig where you can actually learn it without having to purchase it yourself.
I was more curious about yourself. I mean, like, what are you?
Oh, what am I doing right now? I have Final Cut 7, and the new project we'll be working on is Premiere. And I've only set people up when I was teaching editing just how to start their project. So, but I've heard it's pretty intuitive if you know Final Cut 7.
Yeah. I'd say in the documentary world that I've been quizzing people about this too, and I do talk to a lot of different editors about where they're going. I see a pretty big movement towards Premiere right now. That is not to say that Avid isn't keeping up. I think there's a lot of people who have been longtime Avid fans, and then Avid's winning new fans back with a lot of the features they're bringing in. I'm very impressed with where Avid's going, but you know, I use a lot of After Effects. I do a lot of Photoshop myself. I do a lot of sound work myself. So I'm finding that the Adobe Super Suite is kind of really helping me a lot just with the interoperability. But you know, that's just me. You get 9 editors in a room and they will tear each other to shreds about what their horse of choice is. And honestly, you know, a butter knife is a butter knife. They all cut, right? As long as they're sharp.
I think I saw another question back there.
Stuff your entry with unmarked 20s and hundreds. No, it's honestly, I know the programmers, and I think they're, first of all, I would never wish that job on anyone. I think they're really heroic to take that on, to be the gatekeepers of this incredible thing where everybody wants to get in. I think they do a great job, actually. I'm a big fan of Sundance, particularly the documentary program. I think that not only the doc programmers and the doc, you know, officials there, but also the documentary film program, the DFP, which you guys should really know about. It's run separately from the festival, and it funds documentaries, and it has labs. And those labs are some of the most amazing things for growing as a filmmaker. I went there a few years ago with a film. We were all veterans at that point. We'd all done lots of stuff. We'd been at Sundance a bunch of times. And I learned more at that lab than I think I would in 2 years of film school. It was incredible. And those are things that Sundance offers that have nothing to do with the festival. I'm really hoping that Sally, with a little work we did this last couple of weeks, that she will be an editing assistant there, which is a major position, because you get to work with the best editors in the world, and you play a major role in some films' turnaround. Usually, you know, a film comes there and it's halfway edited, and suddenly all this new stuff happens in 1 week. So it's a real experience. It's really something else. So they do a lot more than just the festival. In terms of getting in, a great film. It's got to be great. And how do you get it to be a great film? Don't finish it too fast. You know, don't think you're done. You're tired of it. Oh, I'm going to send it in. Why am I not getting in? This is not done yet. You know, don't be so worried about what festival deadline, and don't be so worried about Sundance. Sundance is one of thousands of film festivals. I directed a film with my wife that did not premiere at Sundance. We didn't get in, and we were as depressed as anybody. We didn't get into South by Southwest. We didn't get into Tribeca. We took an offer from the Cleveland Film Festival, which I'll tell you now, it sounds like, oh, Cleveland, why go there? It's one of the biggest film festivals in the country, and it is an absolute springboard. We went from Cleveland, then we went to festival after festival after festival, and we were like a new property that hadn't gone to Sundance or South by. We played about 20 festivals. We were picked up by Cinedigm, which is a big distributor. We sold to Netflix for a nice sum, and we've had conservatively 700 to 800,000 views on Netflix. And we get... It's called Of Two Minds. It's on Netflix. It's on the queue. You can go and look it up tonight. It's a documentary we're very proud of. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And we're actually making a sequel now, which is getting funding because people knew Of Two Minds. We also got a paid gig with a really nice budget, a really interesting film that I'm directing with my wife right now that I shot myself and I'm partially editing. That was fully budgeted because they liked Of Two Minds. So your film you have now is not the last thing you're going to do. It's all stair steps. It's all stepping stones to the next film and the next film. You've got to keep trying. And if the first film doesn't go all the way, make another film. Do it any way you can. It's not like any other occupation where there's this set way you do it. There are things that help, but honestly, you just keep making great films. Keep finding good. 5-minute warning. Okay. It's not exactly a sequel. It's a film about another aspect of mental health. The first film was about bipolar disorder. This film's about survivors of suicide, which sounds like a really rough description, right? It's actually one of the warmest and potentially funniest films. It's got such heart, because these people want to help and change the world, because nobody talks about this, right? It's one of the last stigmas in our society, and we're going to break it open with this film. We're really excited about it, and it's going to come in the next year or so.
And that one's called The S Word, and the trailer's on Vimeo?
Oh, yeah, and the trailer's on Vimeo. There's also a Facebook page for The S Word. If you look it up, you go right there.
Okay, there's another question back there.
Oh, was I supposed to find work? It's funny. No, you're absolutely right. It is a strange and cloudy field. Like I said, films never quite finish. Sometimes films vanish, or they just don't get done, or people abandon them. The truth is, just look for really strong projects. Look for projects that have the pieces put together to support themselves. Best thing to do is find filmmakers who seem to have their ducks in a row. They understand how to finance a film, maybe. They have money, or they have a good plan to get money. They have a good story, There are a lot of people who will have a film that, hey, it's great, but nobody knows how to actually make a movie. They just have a good idea, and they need to be with filmmakers that know what they're doing. Conversely, there might be a great filmmaker with a terrible idea, and it just doesn't go anywhere. I don't know what the exact formula is. If you're around documentary long enough and study them, watch them, hang out at documentary events. There are a lot in LA, there are a bunch in New York and San Francisco. Go there and do those things, because that's how you find out who's doing them and how they're done. I know I got to get off the podium here, but I wanted to show you, remember I was saying how this all started. Here is I'm not going to show you the trailer, I'm actually going to show you a little piece from the DVD for a film called Wordplay, which I edited with a wonderful team that lives about 600 yards that way. Pat Creedon and Chris O'Malley, this just wonderful husband and wife team who I've known for a long time, but they threw caution to the wind and said, let's make a film about something we love, which is an answer to that question, by the way. Make something you're passionate about. They loved crossword puzzles, and they wanted to go all the way down the rabbit hole and say, what is the most extreme form of crossword puzzle doing? It turns out that there is a tournament for crossword puzzle doers that is like the Olympics of crossword puzzles. And their king is Will Shortz, the editor of the New York Times crossword puzzle. This film is considered something of a modern classic in documentary. It did phenomenally well. This will explain, and it's especially appropriate because it's footage that we just shot with our little handy cams at Sundance as we were premiering the film. I think this will really set what it feels like to premiere a film at Sundance. Thank you guys all. I know we're going to have to go out right after this, but this is sort of what the feeling was like, and this was my very first time with a film there.
What time is it?
9:22.
9:22. We start in 2 hours and 8 minutes. The excitement is palpable.
How you feeling, Chris?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little nervous, but I'm excited. It's hard to believe that we're here. Here, en route to the Prospector. We will, I guess, see you there.
Minutes from the screening site.
I got it.
It's Matt. Oh.
Yeah.
I feel a blood fever.
$8.25 to go over there. What's our best
blood
option?
fever for tickets. This could get really ugly.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, wordplay team.
What's the word, Mike?
Nervousness. Nervousness.
Nervousness.
Does this feel like the waiting room before the championship?
It feels like a
Well, anyone want to say something, or anyone last final words? Bill, Merle, Tyler?
This better not suck.
I'm really happy to have Wordplay here. It's just a fun, thrilling film. The filmmaker, Patrick Creedon, is here with us today. He's a very experienced cinematographer. This is his directorial debut, and it's my honor to have him up on the stage here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for coming to the world premiere of Workplace. Very exciting. I've actually never been to Sundance, and so this is my first ever screening at Sundance. I've never seen the movie here. And it's just, I can't tell you how exciting it is. We are really thrilled. My wife, Christine O'Malley, and I made this film. It's been a year making it. The only thing I really wanted to say is I want to thank my parents who are here. This is a great honor to be here, and I hope you enjoy the show.
I just want to go on record saying Will Shorts is a national treasure. You will all stick around for the Q&A. The Q&A for Wordplay will be here. The Q&A for Hello Thanks will be in the cafe.
So that's what it's like. That's sort of what it feels like to premiere a film at Sundance. Every time is different. Every time is unique. It never gets old. This was your first time, and I know it'll be many more for you. Hopefully I'll be up there a few more times too. And it is all possible. It's doable. You just have to keep trying. You have to keep the faith that you've got something to say and that you make your films as the best you possibly can. It's really competitive, and yet it's doable, and it happens all the time. Happens all the time. Thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun talking through this.
Thank you.